Welcome back to Bay Area Focus. Please welcome our local author of Unrestored Woman by way of India, Shobha Rao. An Unrestored Woman. Okay, tell me what this book is about. It's a collection of short stories, right? It is,
and it focuses mainly on the lives of women during partition, which took place in 1947, when the British left the Indian subcontinent. So basically, they drew a line and separated and created Pakistan and then India. So I wanted to focus on the lives of women because I feel like women are often the most vulnerable in a time of conflict. And this was an incredible time of conflict. Between 8 to 10 million people were displaced from their homes, their villages, and in that effort, in that migratory effort, over 1 million people died. So yeah, I wanted to focus on that time.
So why that time? Why the time period? Why go so far back?
Well, you know, I was searching for a time that where I could talk about the issues that were incredibly dear to me and that I'm exploring in my writing all along. So things like alienation, migration, loneliness, and the search for self and identity. And so partition was an incredible prism to examine all of those themes and searches that I had been conducting in my own life.
What kind of research did you do for this?
Yeah, well, I read a lot about partition. I read a lot of fiction as well, but I read a particular book. It's called Borders and Boundaries, and it was written by 2 women, and it was basically documenting the lives of women who had actually lived through the time of partition. So it's interviewing them and then talking about their experiences. So I read that, and that sort of generated ideas for me and also gave me a really good insight into what exactly on the ground was happening to women and children in that time.
And did it teach you anything that you didn't know maybe about women and the strength and?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is the human resilience is extraordinary, and I got a real window into that. And also I learned, I had no idea, being from South India, which was not as affected by partition, I didn't really have a sense of how incredible the violence and the trauma was. And so to read like the histories of the women who'd lost their homes, in many instances, you know, family, and to see how they were forced to move and leave the only life they'd known. Right. It was incredible to understand the human spirit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you moved to the United States when you were 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 7 years old.
From India.
From India.
And first you stayed a year in Virginia.
Yes. And then we moved to San Diego. But then after that, most of my adolescence was in Indiana. So, like central Indiana.
And did you draw any experiences from your time in Indiana, draw that into this book?
Absolutely. In fact, I reached deeper inside myself and into my experience of growing up as an immigrant in sort of the cornfields, you know, in the midst of cornfields.
What was that like?
Well, you know, it was a lonely time. I mean, I know adolescence is difficult for lots of people, but certainly being Indian, an Indian immigrant, and being sort of outside of the main sort of flow of society. So not really understanding like football games or basketball games, and not really understanding the culture of that kind of rural, you know, farming community. Sure. It was quite an experience and quite formative in understanding my own resilience. Sure. And also just I became quite a reader to get through the time of, you know, when I just didn't have many friends and, you know, was trying to find companionship through literature.
You became a reader, but also a very well-known writer.
Thank you so much.
Well. This is not your first book.
Actually, it is.
Well, your first writing.
Published, yes, absolutely.
Go.
Absolutely, my first published book, but I've been writing for many, many years.
Yeah, and you actually won an award, right, for
I did.
something you had written.
Yes, one of the short stories in this collection, called Kavita and Mustafa, won the Catherine Ann Porter Prize, and then it was also selected by T.C. Boyle to be included in Best American Short Stories 2015.
Well, Shohba, you are very impressive. So thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about the book. Can't wait to read it. You said it's a foggy day book, right?
Yes.
It's rainy outside. Pick up the book. All right. For more information on Shohba's book, Unrestored Woman, just log on to Shohba Rao. That's SHOBHARAO rights.com. Again, that's SHOBHARAO rights.com. Coming up, information about Jack London State Historic Park. We'll be right back.